Welcome everybody to another episode of Let's Play Zeus. This is bonus episode 2, capping off the end of the game here. Having beaten all these cities, we're now looking at the open plays, which are a little bit more detailed than you expect. Last time we had a look at Larissa in open play economic, which had a bunch of chapters, 2 separate colonies. Open play military is next. This one is harder for sure, but shorter. It only has 3 missions in it. It's you go to a city, then you do a colony, then you come back to the city, and that's it. So you can get this done, in theory, in the blink of an eye. If you want to play it all the way through and do a lot of military work in it, obviously you can spend more time there. It is essentially still an open play, take it as far as you want to. So let's see. In this adventure, you will lead a fledgling city from its meager beginnings into a military powerhouse, establishing a colony along the way. This is an open play adventure, so you needn't worry about specific goals. And I've got plenty of my own goals here. I've certainly got a cool idea for how I want to do the housing blocks. Given that military is a theme, we can go into this a little bit like how we've gone into some of the other military things, but we're going to start, because it's open play, with all the beautification, all the walls, all the good stuff that we want. So, we're going to be wanting 12 skeins of fleece and 12 jugs of olive oil, which is barely any more. Hold on, does that change with difficulty? No, it totally doesn't, right? Barely more than we were asked for before. And this time at this colony, we're actually going to have fleece and olive oil available for ourselves straight away, which is really good. A bit of backstory here. Like one of the titans of old, Athens is running roughshod over everyone in Greece, forcing city-states to bend to its will. So this I like to think of as a continuation of the Athens through the ages storyline. Athens are the bad guy this time, and you've got to think about the cities that were fighting against Athens when we were controlling them. The Athenians have taken complete control over Greece's trade routes and have fixed the prices of goods to fit their needs, making free trade very difficult. Those who dare to challenge them find themselves crushed, nearly consumed by the Athenians, just as Cronus ate his own children. But just as the fearsome Cronus was toppled, so too shall Athens be. Cronus, this is a titan, is it? Is this, when we talk about the word Cronus, like C-H-R-O, is in time? Is this a similar thing? The best way to break Athens' rule is to chisel away at its empire, conquering its weaker allies one by one. Mount Malea is an ideal spot to build a city that will rival Athens' dominance, and the area around the city has many of the resources you'll need for the city, and its citizen soldiers to thrive. Athens, its patron goddess Athena, and its stronger allies will certainly make their displeasure with your upstart city felt. Yeah, they'll invade you quick on this. There will be a lot of fighting. By the way, hold on, I don't remember now. Athens Through the Ages was what, the second one we did? Did I realize at the time, Athens, Athena, their patron goddess is Athena because the name of this place is literally almost just Athena? Is there a Zeusia out there? Is there a Hadia or whatever? The Hadean age is an epoch, isn't it? In Earth's history, isn't it? Epoch? Anyway, wow, that just blows my mind, realizing that there. Athens and Athena. So yeah, at least we won't be getting Athena on our side on this one, by the way, since she is against us. In fact, all of the mythology that they'll give us here is all like war-related, sans her. But that means you get a lot of cool minions and things around in the town if you want them. To bring Athens to its needs, you'll need a strong navy. Regrettably, the one thing that Mount Malea lacks is a steady supply of wood. Actually, not true. They lack something else incredibly important. I'll show you that in a second. So you'll need to establish a colony to provide you with this valuable resource. When you're ready, click on the goals button, blah, 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 blah. So let's go in there on mortal difficulty so that it's not a complete cheese fest, and to the city. So, Mount Malea, here we are. Let's have a little bit of a look at the geography. Well, let's look at Greece first. So here we are in Greece, somewhat near Crete. If you look, the red hats, obviously, the red roofs are us. Everyone else is a rival. Stymphalus is back, they're a rival. Athens is a rival. Laurion is a rival. Cydonia is a rival. Lemnos is a rival. Bistonia is a rival. And Philocea is also a rival, but they're at least congenial. Not everyone is super pissed off. These guys, for example, are oh no, they're an ally. Bistonia's an ally. Oh, and Philocea is an ally as well. I thought they were all rivals. So we have 2 allies. So we do have a bit of trade, and we can obviously trade to these really distant people who were not politically, angering. Libya and Cyprus here. So what can we notice here, first of all? Number 1, all of our enemies only have 1 shield. So in theory, it won't take a big force to conquer them. And this is the idea of this open play. Just take each little city out and then go for Athens. Athens themselves, by the way, there is some hard code on this, sneaky code. They're not represented by 6 shields, but they are invulnerable right now. You could throw a billion invasions at them and nothing will happen. You got to take out the others first. Also, all of our allies seem to have very little money. Well, I guess it's just Philisace that has very little. Lemnos looks like a good target because they have a lot of money and only 1 shield. Mind you, these guys, that's true as well. Anyway, so we'll just see who pisses us off. We'll just see how this goes. Now, back to the city, looking at local geography. Well, we have the sea to the south. We have some fish, which immediately we'll be able to fish up. I love this little island here with some copper for us to gather. Copper ore-bearing rock. Some more fish over here. A river that comes straight up through. It's really great to actually be at Mount Malea now, because I've been really interested in Mount Malea for ages. I didn't realize they were a parent city. And in fact, by the way, unfortunately, now when we're playing as them, our icon, we don't get the cool mountain icon. I think that would be really awesome if, you know, you kept looking at this different icon representing the city and now finally get it. We just look like a generic Greek city again now because I guess our home city is always the same icon with this red thing here. If you remember when we were playing as Athens and we looked at them distantly, they were represented by a mountain, which, by the way, I think is meant to be on the map. I think this is the mountain. I think this is Mount Malea up here. And since this is a big battle kind of thing, do you think we can hide our palace up here? Oh, we can put the palace up here. I think having the palace on the top of the mountain is a seriously cool idea. Of course, some of our only meadow appears to be on the mountain. Do we have meadow elsewhere? No, we got meadow over here. Because as open play, it's enormous. There's another mountain here, or is this Mount Malea with the copper on top? I still think, though, let's put the palace, like, on top of the mountain. There has to be a road that comes down into the housing blocks so that we can collect taxes. And there has to be a road, so this is going to take even more meadow, connecting to any towers that we want to put down. So here's my big theme. Here's the thing I'd really like. And there we go. We get a way down here. Here's what I really want to do with this town. I want to do... Well, okay, so maintenance here. I want to do... Not necessarily giant walls everywhere, but this thing of these towers. Now, this is the weirdest thing. In the last episode, we discovered this was possible. And it's another one of those things where it's unlocked an old memory. I swear to God. I know it sounds really convenient to say later, oh, I used to do this. I really do think I used to do this. Or maybe it was something I discovered was possible and did like once or twice, but loved last time I was playing this game years ago. Because this feels really familiar to me, that I used to put little towers around. Now, what I want to do is I want to take this further. I want to have some little towers, and we're going to man these guys. They're going to defend the palace. So people are going to be getting shot by archers all the way along. This is kind of like dotting watch posts around, right? Which I also want to do on the way up to the palace. Let's have it really well defended here. So some watch posts, that is the only way up, right? Oh, there might be a way on the back, which I may have to do as well. But, you know, they'll have all these little archers plinking away at them. Obviously, having gatehouses and walls on every single row would be cool as well, but I don't know how feasible that is, really. I mean, maybe a wall and a gatehouse at the bottom here would be cool. But that's what I want to do. Beyond that as well, okay, think of your house, any standard housing block, and let's make... No, really, I should super speed this. But look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a housing block, and we're going to have the basic commodities in it, and I'm going to include as a basic commodity towers within the houses. And then also, I'm going to station, like, our rabble around. It's going to be cool, and we're going to be getting attacked, and we'll see how this goes. So here we go. This is the beginning of Mount Malea. Oh, wait. One more thing as well. Okay, so what was that crucial thing that we can't build? Now, to send invasions out, we need triremes. Oh, wait, we don't have any triremes. We need heroes. Well, we don't have any of those yet, though we are going to get attacked by a monster in a minute. We need hoplites, so we could build elite houses. So elite houses straight away are going to be a thing. And that's fine, because we do have, like I say, all the basic commodities. Everything's all okay here once we get up and running. Olive trees, cutting sheds, they're all here. However, what's the first thing an elite house wants after it's got its culture and it's allowed, you know, because no culture, it gets abandoned. Let's say you're giving it culture. And I think that gives you some really basic weak soldiers at that point. But what's the first thing it wants? It wants wine. We don't have any wine. So, there's actually a really cool thing that Impressions have done here, where to get up and running, we need to put elite houses down that are like super weak and use those. We have no wood because we don't have our colony yet. I mean, this is the thing, it's open play. We could go to the colony really fast if we like, but I'm not going to. We need to take really weak soldiers to conquer these single shields. That's why they only have one shield. And one of these places, our first target, here, Stymphaloos, and they're fairly close to us. Sidonia might also be. No. Stymphaloos produces wine. So we need to conquer them or raid them so that they will trade us or even pay in tribute wine so that we can evolve our guys more so that we can do more fighting. And it's a really cool like staggered process. I think it's something the main adventures should have leveraged as well at some point. But yeah, so I guess it's time for me to just build and we'll see what we think as it goes along. Wow, oh my god. So I played this through last night and I've just looked at the timestamp here. It's an hour and 14 minutes of footage. Jesus Christ, I didn't realise it was that long. It didn't feel that long at all. I mean, it felt slightly longer than the other, like, super speed montages we've done, don't get me wrong, but my lord. So let's just watch this through and see what we remember as we go along. First of all, I restarted the mission because, once again, I forgot to save. That's the second time I've done that now. So this looks a bit worse. So I noticed there's multiple ways up the mountain, so I put that extra gatehouse there in the hopes it might help. But actually, to be honest, guys, every single gatehouse that you see I build in these early steps here is a mistake. And it's a mistake for a reason you can actually already kind of tell from some of our experiences in another adventure. And it's because they function as roads, and if they break, then it's just hell. And, well, as we play out, you'll see what happens here. A big theme with this mission is gods that you can't do anything about, namely Athena, being mad at you. So I love the idea of putting the wall in the middle. That was my plan for these towers. Look at how cool this effect is. But then I realized there's leaving one gap. I've made this housing block a little bit wider than normal, but leaving that one little gap isn't enough because they need roads. So I had to put them on the interior corners instead. To be honest, in my mind, I was thinking of just doing like one tower per, but I've ended up per block. But I've ended up putting 4 here. I just like the idea of an invading army walking through here and getting battered by all of them. But then I also thought, okay, what would be really cool as well? Remember, where were we? Tenedos, maybe? No, actually, I think it was at Pergamum. At Pergamum, we talked about having separate housing blocks and separating them with walls and having gatehouses between housing blocks. I decided I kind of liked the idea of that for here because, you know, it's kind of that military sort of focus. Maybe Mount Malea's thing can be that. So I started going with these walls. But now that I've protected the whole thing with these walls, the interior towers, I don't think they shoot far enough anymore. So it's purely aesthetic, those interior towers, really. Again, we have one of these annoying issues where I'm too close to the edge of the terrain. I was actually sort of mad at myself for this housing block here because if you look, I squeezed it right up in the top corner of the map. I don't know why. I think it's just being used to playing the real game and then these open plays where I get all this space. I could be using all the open space, but I'm not. And I mean, there's a little bit less open space here at Mount Malea just because the geography and the terrain is so interesting. But yeah, so we had the road block, the housing block, walls, and then on the outside, distribution and a bit of fishing to feed our initial guys. And I figure I'm going to go straight away into a second housing block, but we have to move it a little bit further away due to how I've set the terrain and stuff up. And again, though, I'm still doing I'm doing 6 houses wide, not 5 houses wide again, which will leave us a 2x2 in the middle. I should have gone one a bit further, and then we could have had the dummy road and maybe done something cool with it. I continue to have this annoying thing where we lose an entire house just for a bit of path, so it doesn't get cut off from Greece as well. I'll have to seriously stop and think about that for a while. And then I noticed with the path here, I'd made it a bit too wide. I deleted it, and then I thought, you know what, let's just have a big open plaza. I like the idea of near the Agora, there's this big area everyone can go and walk and chat and do whatever they like. It doesn't really work out that way with the way that the walkers are set up, but I've left it there anyway because I think it looks nice. It actually feels a little bit like a car park type situation, you know, people would pull up there to get to the Agora, but hey, whatever. Then I realised we're probably going to want a little bit more food. We have carrot farms here, and so I've surrounded one of those carrot farms with some columns. When we look back at that in a minute, it's going to look great. I like the red of the carrots against, you know, what is generally all the other white. that's around. I'm desperate for more columns, more colors, more aesthetic things to play with. Oh, right, yeah, here, you can see me me furiously spinning the mouse in circles here. This was old me trying to draw attention to this big car park I was just talking about, and to admire how nice the texture looks with it all connected together like that. You don't usually get to enjoy that because you don't really build paths in this way, but it is there in the game and it looks nice. Obviously the evolved high appeal bit in the back is clashing a bit. It doesn't connect perfectly, but it does with itself. And so since I had a wall of 1 on the original block, I'm doing a wall of 1 thickness again here. And what I'm really keen to see right at this second is I want to know, when we have our archers on the walls, do they walk along the single walls? Do they, like, tiptoe across it, balance across it? Like I was talking about, the animation suggests they might before. So I give them their road, and you'll notice none of the towers are doing what I want them to. Nobody's manning any of the towers right now. And I'm beginning to worry that the single tower I did, despite the fact that I genuinely feel like I used to do it, I'm worrying that the single towers doesn't even work. That they need walls near them as well. So I clear the towers in the middle of the blocks, operating on that theory. And then I decide, okay, I'll put them on the outer ring then, so they have wall. But it's still not working. Give it a right click and realize it needs a road all the way to the palace. And this is actually really cool, okay? So, like, I love what the game engine is doing here. It needs that road all the way to the palace. So every second, every frame, well, I don't know how regularly it's checking it. And we get this cool water crossing setup that I've just created here. It is checking for a complete road all the way there. Now, remember that gatehouse I built earlier? What that means is if that gatehouse breaks, thus creating rubble on the road, it will break every single tower in the entire town. You could disarm all of our archers by breaking one gatehouse. This is obviously not a PvP game. Those kinds of strategies aren't really a thing or whatever, but it's very, very interesting to think of that, isn't it? So now that I've verified it, it's just that nothing we had built was connected to the palace. Now, when I re-establish the towers in the middle, there you go. And I really like the look of it. I love the look of the towers in the middle, and then actually having the NPC a bit of life as he's looking out around the block. Again, it kind of reminds me of the Imperial City from Oblivion. You know, they have those suggestions of towers off in the distance. Here I was gambling with a really, really distant maintenance post worker, to be honest, and I knew I was gambling before. That's a good place for the livestock, by the way, because behind the road, assuming they don't cross it, but they are. You can see that they are a little bit here. I forget that there's actually copper ore right here, and that we can make our own armor for a good while during this footage. So, yes, copper ore will eventually be here, but for now I'm just focused on olive oil. And I wanted to do a thing where they're completely surrounded by the trees. And I was thinking, well, I could do that, and then the maintenance officer throws one. He's got a broader range than you'd expect, right? So I don't need to put the path right against them. They can be surrounded by trees. But it didn't work out, because obviously they need a road to have employees anyway. And even if I just give them a bit of dummy road, well, they'll need some road to get to a storehouse, so I gave up on it afterwards. But I do love that idea of really remote olive growers. Now, to me, that looks like more than enough lodges, more than enough trees, more than enough presses, with accepting olives there and their own little, like, tower and their own little watch post. Look at this. These random towers that I'm putting around, I'm in love with. By the way, bear in mind, at this point, I don't know when the first attack is going to come or where they'll spawn. There are actually multiple invasion points for where the spawns can come from here. So I don't know whether any of these towers or any of these walls are going to be useful in any way. And to be honest, the place ends up very, very ugly by the end. So storage bay there, surrounded by columns. Decided I didn't like the look, and then I put some parks down. A couple more fisheries since they were free along the road. And now I'm starting to think, okay, well, we want to set up elites. And we want to set up like a nice pathway filled with towers for whoever might invade. These wolves here need to be shot down, so I set this bit up. I end up having what I think is a cool effect here, which is, let's have road on... Look at that, have a path flanked on either side by roads with towers. So people are forced to walk along... A bit like what I do with the immigrants to the town, you know? But an invading army will have to walk between both of these, getting shot the whole way. And I don't know whether the game's AI would be smart enough to not go down that path or whatever. But all of this assumes that that's the only way up the mountain. And it's not going to work. Just to give you guys a little hint about that right now. That's not going to work. Put some flower gardens there. I've fallen in love with flower gardens as we've gone through free play, apparently. So there we go. So now we're on to elite. And I was thinking, what kind of an elite housing block could we do? We could do another long line. But you know what? We did the plus before. but the plus sucked. I think it was at Thebes we did the plus. And the reason it sucked way back at Thebes was because we were right up against that mountain, remember? And it kind of screwed us out with our distance. So here I'm trying it again now that I've got infinite space. And believe it or not, this actually works so well. So gym right on the end, and here with the theatre, the way that I place the theatre there is I put it in by 2, not 1, by 2, because we had those maintenance issues with a theatre on the very corner before, remember? However, we are on an easier difficulty right now, and I am aware I don't need to do that. We'll return to that later. Okay, so I have a look, and I see that my presses aren't doing much, and my olives aren't doing much. So I decided to just give them a bunch more trees in the hope it will help. And it doesn't really. I'm not sure what's going on there, but we have a production issue with it. So people's demanding olive oil. They're getting angrier with us. I believe if we were playing on Olympian right now, they probably already would have sent an invading force that we would have to pay off, and we would have had a little bit less money. This city's actually entirely surviving on tax right now, which is quite interesting. So there you go, stadium, college. Again, it's another like big hub of activity, so I give them their own tower. All I want right now is to be attacked and to not even use rabble. I just want them to try and walk through my town, and the archers just finish them off on their own. Wouldn't that just be the coolest thing ever? Here, some guys aren't evolving, and it was a water issue, but I get distracted because I'm still in the middle of building the elites. Oh, yeah, what I'm trying to do is place the elites down, but I can't because we need olive oil. I forgot about this. So now I'm trying to give them closer storage for their olives. But they never use it. I don't know. They're just being crap at their jobs. I mean, we are getting olive oil, just really slowly. And, you know, when the harvest comes in, I see a bunch of trees ready for it. And then very little action with the wheelbarrow men. So it feels like, I don't know, I've lost something somewhere. Oh, I found this super satisfying too. I already talked about how pillars in his storehouses look great, especially Doric, because the art is so similar. Well, what I've always wanted was to, if you put a granary and storehouse together, it'd be nice if they were all the same size and squared off with one another. But they don't, of course, because the granary is wider than a storehouse. You get this ugly, like, line. But if you fill that line in with columns, check it out, it squares it off and you get to use the columns too. There's no mechanical advantage, it's just satisfying. And you can see the idea here. What I want to do is have the elite housing district. It's a giant plot. One of the reasons I didn't want to do a road was I wanted to have a box shape. And within the box, we can put, around the box, sorry, we can put walls. Okay, so Athena invades. Athena is a nightmare. Look at this. First of all, I find this highly ironic. She destroys all of the towers that we're playing with by cursing them. So instantly, Athena just ruins the whole idea. I mean, some guys were still standing on them. Look at what she did to the olive trees there as well. An entire field. She hurts our olive oil production, which was already struggling. And she breaks the gatehouses. So as soon as those gatehouses broke, and I realized the problem, okay, I'm going to be building something. She's going to attack off screen, and I'm going to have to babysit her and fix every gatehouse every time, which is going to be really annoying. So instead, I just went through and I broke all the, got rid of all the crucial gatehouses. So that if she can attack, she can wander around, and she won't create rubble on key pieces of path, thus blocking all of our walkers off. Another interesting thing about Athena is when she invades you, she goes for your palace. She like curses it or breaks it. And if it happens to be that she does that right as you've been invaded, she'll take the palace out and it will count as you losing the invasion. You'll get vassalized. That can be a game over if that's the second time it's happened in a row or you've had some other struggle. So basically, Athena arriving at the wrong moment can just be an auto lose for you in a fight. She'll just snipe you down. So, now we've obviously got our armor production, which we can get in on. In another nice little, like, plaza-looking area here. I kind of realized I messed up with the roadblock there. I want maintenance, like, away from the place. So that storehouse gets as much bronze as it can after all those foundries. Again, it has its own tower. Well, I've given them 2, actually, but there's not path there. Do I realize that issue? I don't think so. So, somebody's finally starting to attack. So the first assault is here. And what do you know, they've appeared right where there's a single piece of wall where I had no towers whatsoever. And I tried to build some towers right there near the housing block, but it said too close to enemies. So I go down this flank instead, which actually turns out to be okay because they're getting along. But I realise I'm going to need rabble anyway. What you guys are watching on super speed here, it looks like normal game speed because I'm actually doing this incredibly slow. My actual real-time gameplay here was really slow, and the hope was that when I sped the footage up, it would look somewhat normal so we could enjoy a battle together. And it's actually kind of worked quite well here, hasn't it? This way I don't have to mess with anything. So that's great. I sat there, honestly, for like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes that battle took. But they slowly die, and what was really fun, I don't know, we're going to have another invasion. And the best thing, the one thing I'm hoping for is someone to break through, run along, and get battered by all the towers as they go. And that's going to happen on the next invasion. Here I extend the wall out because I'm not planning on doing a housing block here anyway. And now they're going to... If there's another invasion from the north, then we'll be safe. But they actually invade from a different area next time. So what I want to do as well, I still want to try this thing where we have our rabble throwing rocks from one side of the wall at forces on the other side. But the geography isn't really lined up for that. It's tricky because if you put a rabble flag near a wall, sometimes they'll just walk to the other side of it. In fact, very often they will because they do their little formation, you know. And that reminds me, we haven't really pressed the rotate formation button too often, have we? I'll probably want to do that before this is all over. So we go, huge. I love this thing of the double thick path. But maybe that's what's screwing the olive workers. I really don't know. I'm still curious about that tip I read online where someone said, oh, Avenue and Boulevard's really good for these guys because it teleports them to the trees quicker. But how would you set that up? And is that really necessary? So my solution to this in the end was just to put a bunch more growers lodges there, more than I'm sure we need. And this does fix our olive oil issues with enough super speeding and enough time passing. So I just kind of look away from it now. I love the effect visually. Oh yeah, this all fully evolved without me even looking at it, which is quite nice. We have armor now. I forgot to put the vendor down. So here with the vendor, finally, we're starting to evolve. And somebody wanted defense from our original guys. A couple of monuments I put as insurance. The first time we ever did this design, I did the monuments in the same area. Okay, and now here I realize I can squeeze another elite house in if I shift the tax office and the theatre along again. So that's what I've done. Now, but I'm scared of maintenance, so I decide I'll give them a back road for maintenance. This way I can have all the space for the elite houses, and I can just maintain these key facilities from behind. But there's a new problem. So I just found another gatehouse there that we had to fix. But there's another problem now, which is by connecting those roads, we've messed the walkers up, and they're all going on the back road. And I'm going to notice that actually before there's any devolution or issue, which I'm actually rather proud of, because usually I don't notice until it's too late. And it means finally I can use my cool technique. I've been looking for a reason for ages for this. See, here I'm realizing people, like, I put these roadblocks down, like an insane number of roadblocks, and then I realize, oh, this is going to be too much of an issue over here. So check it out. We extend the road one away, keep the maintenance on, and it will work. An actual use case for this trick. The maintenance guy will maintain all these buildings over the parks, and because it's parks there, the walkers won't be dissuaded from going to their elite neighborhoods. There's probably a little bit too much space to beautify here on the inside. Like, I think it's probably... The parkland looks alright, I guess, if you don't look too closely at it. But there are a lot of, like, repeating patterns and so on. And the wall can come straight up against this. This satellite road here as well is very good for if any towers I ever put there. They'll immediately be soft because there's a road there. Which is pretty nice. Well, except that one bit right up there, which is the first bit of tower that we built. So I had to break just a little bit of beautification. I'm sure with those monuments there, all of those houses will fully evolve, no problem. Oh yeah, so we got attacked by a minotaur. Wow, I didn't give us much time to look at that, did I? There's a minotaur in the marsh on the top left, and we will deal with him, don't you guys worry. Here's the second invasion. They land on the beach to the south this time. And this is the really amazing one. Check it out. So first of all, a tower already shooting at them. Now, the cavalry is going a lot faster than everyone else. So look, this horse manages to get across the bridge. And look, they're destroying so much stuff here. It's just awful. So I send my rabble to hit the bulk on that bridge. Like, what an amazing choke point that is. But meanwhile, look at this horse. Look, he's coming down. He's coming down, and he has to go through the thing, except he skips. Oh, but still, he kills that maintenance guy, and then he dies right there at the foot of the towers. So they worked! I mean, this, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is ugly, all right? All the towers dotted around down near the palace. In my mind, it looked way cooler. I think it's because there's random bits of rubble because of Athena around. And, you know, if you think that's bad, well, you ain't seen nothing yet, guys. Athena is not the only god that attacks you in this playthrough. There's another very significant god that's about to go for the throat. And, well, it's a god we were talking about attacking us very soon with some very, very specific trivia. But that'll be when we return from the colony, so we don't have to worry about that too much just yet. And I think, as far as I remember, that was about it, really. Oh, yeah, of course. Now we have the invasion to do. So, now we've got all of our guys. For what it's worth, you can buy wheat already. I think it's Egyptian wheat again. And, wait, did we just get another quest? No, I don't think we did. So, I planned... Okay, here's what I first tried to do. I plunder wine from Stymphallus in the hope that that will get rid of a shield. And then our vendor will distribute, just like you're watching here. I only did it for 1 agora. Now that we have the wine, we have a way more soldiers... And so the second attack will be really stronger. It's like you steal wine to fuel your soldiers, and then they come back, and when they do their second drunken assault, they're even stronger, right? That was the idea, but he never lost a shield, and we got crushed twice in a row anyway, which was pretty unfortunate. So I had to do 3 attacks in a row. But that is Stymphallus conquered. We now get tributes of wine, infinite wine, and it's just a matter of building up horses and whatnot. And I believe the old version of me now is going to cut in and start talking away. So there you go. That's been my building adventure. An hour and 15 minutes. That's nuts. Explained pretty quickly, though. All right, fantastic. Having defeated them, we now have a trading post that we can easily set up. I mean, what's crazy here is I really haven't done any trading yet. So here we go. Trading post to Stymphallus. Let's set it up near this rubble. We kind of want it near the elites, but then at the same time it needs to be near the trade lanes, so this is a pretty good place here. And we have a maintenance post that will deal with it anyway, and we don't even need to roadblock that, so that's nice. So we can start buying our own wine now, so we permanently have that dealt with, as well as olive oil. But it looks like we finally stabilized our own olive oil stuff, so that's pretty good. So with our own wine supply now permanently in, we have everything now for these guys except horses. Horses are available, but I'm not sure. So does somebody produce wheat? Usually, Libya will sell us wheat. So we can actually go to max level with this already. But let's stop for a second, because setting up triremes is really the goal and the point of the adventure. So let's say set aside fleece for the colony. Let's set aside olive oil for the colony. We actually do still have the monster rampaging around back here. Where is it? Here we go, the Minotaur. And you see how nice they are? They put it like way out here in this marshland where no one ever would build anything. Like, you can't build anything out there. So it really is just a for funsies thing. But we'll deal with Theseus and all that later. Let's progress through, which is kind of funny actually, with all these invasions and things going on in the middle of time. There we go. You have decided to leave your city behind for now and establish a colony to supply you with the wood you need. In a moment, you'll visit the world map to select a colony site, and once you've selected it, blah, 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 there's no law here. Let's just go. So the only colony of this entire adventure right here is Orchomenos, or Konomenos, or Orchomenos, I think is the best way that they would probably say it. It is blanketed with thick green forests, perfect for the construction of triremes. So the whole point here is to get a bit of wood. The heavily forested, if only there was a mission for potatoes. Oh, they should have had a potato farm. But I guess it actually makes sense that they don't, because potatoes only got imported to Europe after the New World was discovered, right? A fairly new phenomenon. Anyway, the heavily forested valleys around Orchomenos are a sight for sore eyes, for soon these tall trees will become the mighty triremes that will hopefully lead one day to Athens' destruction. The Athenians, of course, are well aware of your intentions and will do what they can to interfere with your plans. Once you've built up the wood industry at Orchomenos to your satisfaction, just leave. So yeah, you see how they've set this up? I think they messed it up on that other free play adventure. I feel like these free plays got added quite quickly, and they're a little bit buggy or a little bit hastily done. That's why there's not the voice acting and stuff. But they're a huge addition to the game because, you know, like I say, this is what I spent most of my time on before. So let's head on in on beginner here, I guess. And speaking of bugs and things, now here's something quite interesting. On that previous adventure, you could have conquered a bunch of places. You couldn't have finished off Athens itself, but you could have conquered a bunch of places, a lot of which would now be peers. But the devs messed up on this mission. If you've made allies of people, so like Stymphallus is still a vassal of ours, and he pays us this tribute of wine. If I'd done that with some of the others, someone who's like across the water, we would have peers to them. In fact, look, we got some piers here. Pier to Bistonia, pier to Libya, pier to Cyprus. Wow, you don't even have to conquer people for this. So we have these piers, but let's look at the local geography, shall we? This is a landlocked map, guys. Look at the big, beautiful trees that they were talking about there in the dialogue. These ones especially look huge, don't they? Really big. I like to imagine them as massive redwoods now, even though they obviously aren't. So, yeah, this is landlocked. There is a bit of water, but it's just an internal lake. And if you build a pier here, you're going to get that message, the lake has no access to the sea. Usually in a scenario like this, where we've seen observed elsewhere in the game, everywhere else in the game, the piers just don't appear on the list. But on this one, they do. So do we call that a bug? Do we call that an oversight? What do we call that, if anything? So there you have it. So let's see what we have for our industries here. Probably not much. Okay, they let us get our own fleece, but no olive oil anymore. For food, we are fishing and hunting, so we're very protein-based once again. And for mythology, it's probably all the same mythology as we had before. It is indeed. So we don't really have to worry about a lot of that. They give us triremes. I guess we could build a trireme on the lake. And we could do that. We have the wood for it. And we could have them patrol around this little water here. This is actually a lot like that other lake map, isn't it, really? Oh, wouldn't it be cool to put a trireme on the island? But there's not going to be any space for that. So, yeah, all that we really have to do is just build, get a bit of timber, and then we go back to the other mission, finish off our elite houses, and crush Athens. So, let's build this. I'll make with the super speed. Oh, there is a monster that will attack us here as well. And it's a really good monster too. It's a monster you've only seen once in the series before. It's a monster you've only seen for about 5 frames in the series before. Remember that, guys? Which monster was I talking about? Here, well, here's your one other opportunity to see it. Okay, actually, no, I totally confused myself. The monster will attack our parent when we return to the parent. So there is no monster here. However, for this super speed section, this is 1 hour and 9 minutes, slightly shorter than before. For like the back half of it, I'm just having fun messing around with invasions and waiting for a monster that will never come. And then I realize, in fact, there's a moment where I like edit in an outro and then I say, oh, no, the monster, we got to wait for the monster. And then there proceeds to be like another 25 minutes of gameplay. But anyway, so let's go through this once again, actually. So I was a little lacking in confidence starting here because I didn't have any like cool theme idea or, you know, something new for us to do. I thought, okay, just build a housing block. We're going to sustain this whole thing on one housing block. But in the end, you know, just as always seems to happen with this game, the emergent city, the emergent town that ends up getting built, I'll call this a town, not a city, since it's a colony, ends up really impressing me and having a lot of fun. So I went with a wider housing block here because I wanted to get the towers on the inside. This was something that in my mind I thought looked really cool, and we could even have walls on the inside. But every piece of wall you put is taking away housing plots. So this is now a 7 wide housing block. Or you might even have to go as far as 8 wide if you want to have towers, walls, and houses or services on the inside without compromising. So we might try an 8 wide one at some point. And so I put a bit of wall with one of them, but it doesn't look very good, does it? It's a bit weird. But I wanted people patrolling around on the walls above the houses. And what I especially thought would look really cool is when they're at townhouse, you know, the townhouses end up very tall. They'll probably be about the same height as the towers. So it might be this cool, and the walls, so it might be this cool thing, you know, like where you imagine walkways and gangplanks and things around the roof of the town. You know, you always got these cool, like, stories and settings in games where people are like proud, you know, there are thieves in the night that prowl around on the roofs. I kind of like that idea. And then there's the walls that they in theory could walk around on. But the way I've built it, we're not eventually going to see that, so who knows. Anyway, so 2 little hubs, little industry hubs here. One for hunting, one for carding. I beautify them both a bit. I really like this hub design. I don't do it on the harder difficulties and in the regular adventures because it is costly, you know. There are more effective ways of going through, but while we're in free play, I think this is our best opportunity to just really have a lot of fun with, you know, other ways you can build the cities that aren't necessarily the best mechanically, but it's okay because you got the cushion of all the money and, you know, it's fairly open. So then I wanted to accomplish this thing we have over at Mount Malea as well. I wanted Orchomenos to have the walls, the beautiful path surrounded by walls on either side with towers. And I've made it a beautiful path so the path is wider so that the walls don't look too close to one another because I'm not sure I was very satisfied by that effect. By the way, look at the corners here. It looks like I can't build on the corners outside of the map geography. But if I spam clicked enough, I could actually. it let me build like one outside of the map, which is really interesting. Because there's a chance people might walk around a wall when it's on the edge of the map, but if you get it out there, then... So I don't know, that was really weird, but by spamming the cursor enough, it seemed to work out. So then I figured, hey, we'll put Fleece Industry right next to the housing block with the sheep on the mountain up there. There is a second meadow we could use. In the end, I think I'm going to end up using it for a stadium. The advantage, by the way, with having 7 wide block is it does give me these little gaps out, which gave me a nice little road in for the towers, and potentially another road out here for the Agora worker and the granary and stuff, but hey. So yeah, our first meat is coming in, but we're going to need more food if we want to keep evolving people. So I decide, can I import food? That's what I'm looking for right now. There's not really a way to do it. So I'm just going to create fishing. I'm scared of the fishing, though, because I want trireme space. In the meantime, I've noticed as well, so olives, we already talked about this. I need to import olives to turn into my own olive oil in this scenario. Olives are very cheap. Olive oil is produced very easily. And believe it or not, this setup here with the trading post kind of nearby and then the olive presses sort of around the corner is way more effective at producing olive oil than we have at our own parent city. Mount Malea just has this weird olive problem, but here it's going very well. Here I made a culture district. That drama school is completely unnecessary because I'm not going to put any theatres around. But I figured, hey, we'll frame it with some column, put some park down. I really like this thing where I have the maintenance post on the opposite side of a long road with double roadblocks. Oh yeah, and I found another way to square off our housing block. I'm sick of doing park then column. So here, I'm doing gazebo and park on the inside, column on the outside. So you get like mini sections of column that are dotted with gazebo with park on the inner bit. I really like the way that this looks. The downside is, as far as beautification is concerned, these houses struggle a bit, but that might just be because I forgot to put... Well, I didn't forget. I didn't put Avenue or Boulevard on the inner road, you notice, on this colony. Because I wanted as much space for the towers as I could. And then I end up just beautifying the inner bit weirdly, but hey, it always looks so nice when it's fully filled in, you know? And then this guy's struggling with appeal, so I give him gazebos. I think there's actually going to end up with a bunch of gazebos in a row there. So now back to the fisheries, because food is still a bit of a problem. Get a maintenance post. Oh, we have some serious military stuff coming up, guys. Actually, we essentially get wiped out by a military invasion here in a weird way, because they're going to take out our Agora, which is just... well, you'll see in a second. For now, timber. This is the main thing that we're setting up, right? I wanted a fun pattern for how we did the timber here, so I gave them all one space away and did like this like antenna shape with the path, you know, with the crosses, which I think looks cool. And I specifically set them up here because I want them to cut down the big trees. I like to imagine that's the highest quality timber. Again, isn't this thing where it's like, you know, they could have different qualities of the goods, and maybe as far as wood's concerned, the best wood comes from the biggest, deepest trees in specific areas of maps, I don't know. Anyway, so, or maybe it's like after the industry's been running a certain period of time, but then it has more demands on the work. I don't know. Anyway, so we're cutting down the biggest, nicest trees. I put these storage bays here. Half armor, half wood. Wood is being produced on site. Armor we'll have to import. And I'm doing this because I want the triremes patrolling on the lake. And I think that works really nicely there, how everything's going to line up. We'll have triremes on the top right, and we'll have fishing everywhere else. I think we can only support... I don't know how many triremes we can support, actually, because it depends on the scenario, right? So maybe you could support 6. 6 is the max I've ever seen, obviously. We saw that over at Olympus. Got kind of that ugly road all the way up there, but these remote fisheries are going to want some kind of connection. Those fishing places I put down purely just to hit the fish in those remote nodes. I feel like it's not complete until every little bit of fish is being gathered, so they're out there in the middle of nowhere. And you'd think that that's bumfuck nowhere, nothing's ever going to happen. Well, believe it or not, that's going to be the site of some important stuff in a second, those random fishermen. Here I framed the trading post. This is like the big trading post for the town, really. That's where we sell our wood and buy our armor. So I gave it park and column this time, instead of just column against it. And it takes a huge amount of space, doesn't it? But it does look very awesome by the end. And then I decided, okay, we'll do by connecting that road there, we've looped all the way around the lake now, with the maintenance post having to be moved. So Stimulus becomes a rival. Now I'm pausing here, because there's kind of a big conversation I want to have. The original cut of this video, I started by talking all about how diplomacy in Greece resets at this colony, and so you could, in the original Mount Malea instance, attack everyone. Remember, we attacked Stymphalus for their wine already, and you could attack everyone except Athens. Athens is the only one that won't fall. You could take over all of Greece, come here, and you'll have a bunch of piers and stuff, piers that don't work, and then that kind of segued me into the pier conversation. But what I was originally pointing out was that it's useless because diplomacy in Greece resets at this mission. So you could conquer everyone at the original Mount Malea, come here to Orchomenos, and then you lose all that progress, so there's kind of no point doing it. It is free play, so it depends how far you want to go. You could conquer everyone if you like, and then conquer everyone here again if you like, and so on. But anyway, so I went on that whole conversation, looked at the world map, and saw that Stymphalus was still an ally, and I thought, oh, I must be wrong. In my mind, I remembered Greece resetting. It's a bit of trivia about this mission here that Greece resets, and if you remember very early in the Let's Play, I was also talking about this phenomenon of Greece resetting between colony missions. So I did that whole conversation, looked at the world map, and Stymphalus was still an ally. And I thought, oh my god, I'm going to have to cut all of that. Did it. Started playing this, blah, 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 20 minutes in, wherever we are now, and I see. So what actually happens here is you will get a diplomatic pop-up where they say, okay, I want to be your rival again. So yes, it's all true. You can conquer everyone as the original Mount Malea, come here to Orchomenos. At the start of the mission, that when I went on my rant initially, they will still be allies, but a little bit into the way, they're all going to rival you again. So your progress from the first instance is kind of lost. Is it worth doing? Well, your mileage may vary. Your own decision on that. And it's kind of weird, actually, this notification of them becoming a rival. You know, we put a lot of military effort into taking Stymphalus out. And now what? On a whim, they've just decided none of that matters anymore. They're going to be a rival instead of an ally. I feel like there should have to be some combat for this. They should have to fight for their freedom, surely. They can't just say this. But they have. So anyway, they're enemies again now. And indeed, all of Greece would be against us again now. So when we return to Mount Malea, we'll have to pick them off. So yeah, it depends on how you want to treat free play. If you want to do absolutely everything, you can conquer everyone at all 3 stages of the adventure. Otherwise, you can hold it all off until the final mission. I've done a kind of a bit of both. I've conquered Stymphalus. We lose them again here. We'll get him back later. Don't you guys worry. I'm not actually planning on building elite housing at this colony here. So we would have no chance anyway. This is purely defensive campaign for me. I'm trying to have this cool thing where we have all these amazing walls and towers everywhere, the occasional rabble, and yet we can defend ourselves. And we'll see how successful I am in that. All right, back to the super speed here. I held this screen for a long time on the original playthrough just so that I reminded myself to actually talk about it. Because I'm noticing on these super speed sections, there are a lot of tiny little minute things that I imagine I might remark on, and then I end up not. So there's a fire here because when I put the olive presses down, they redirected the maintenance post accidentally. And then I'm going to mess it up again in a minute, and there's going to be another fire. They just end up having all these kind of weird issues. Here I'm having a water carrier issue. I don't think my water carriers on this block are getting all the way around. I might have drawn it slightly too big. So here, now that I've redirected the maintenance guy broke the olive presses. And now that I've moved him again, what I don't realize is now that's going to mess up the hunting lodges. We'll have to deal with them as well in a second. So anyway, the housing block is done. We've given them olive oil. No, as soon as I gave them olive oil, we had all the olive presses breaking. Brilliant timing there. So I'll create a stadium area up on this meadow. It's a meadow stadium. To fix these weird little corners with the avenue there, I decided to use columns. That's nice, isn't it? Like little corner pieces of columns. And a local gym so that it will feed the stadium constantly. I don't want any risk of the stadium turning off because the housing block is slightly too far, for example. And now with that done, we can finally see who still needs appeal. And we do need more external appeal now. Again, because the inner road wasn't avenued. A lot of these guys do need a little bit of help. I go with fish ponds, because fish ponds are awesome. Over here, just a bunch of gazebos, which are going to break in a minute with our first attack. At this point, I was thinking, oh my god, you know, this is supposed to be a military campaign. I could leave now. We have the wood. You know, we could have left ages ago. But look, I've got a fully evolved housing block. We're good. And what's happened? There's been no mythology pop up, because I'm still under the mistaken impression that there'll be a monster that isn't going to be. But also, nobody's attacked us. So I decided, well, the last goal here, and this could have been it now, is to just put the triremes down. But they have their own story, which is, unfortunately, that it's not possible. And I'm sure I could have got 3 triremes in a row there. That would have been so nice, wouldn't it? It's not possible. The lake has no access to the sea. Apparently, you're not allowed to put triremes just to patrol lakes. They would be of some use, right? Artillery, right? Offshore artillery sort of thing. Does that happen in the Great Lakes in the US? Do they have military vessels up on them? I'm sure they do, 1 or 2, right? Anyway, yeah, there was no possibility there, so there's absolutely nothing happening. Thankfully, there is an invasion, though. So, I think they're probably going to invade from the very north of the city, and I have a lot of fun with this. Okay, so we're going to build one great wall. The idea is there'll be space for rabble to throw their stones, if it's possible. As in, again, in the impressions themselves, in one of their mission guides, say that this is a mechanic. We're going to have rabble that throw over that wall. We're going to have towers. We're going to have 2 layers, actually. So anyone who comes through has to break through that gatehouse or wall piece, and then they have to brave all these other towers on the inside before finally then they get to the housing. And look at the amazing trading post there as well. I'm kind of scared they'll break the columns and stuff. So we start manning the towers for the first time since we have all the excess employment, since we fully evolved the housing block. And look, I get my flags there, 3 flags of rabble ready to defend. Here's the rotate company button being used. It changes their orientation, which we observed when I did this in the Let's Play before, and I was kind of wondering how that was useful. But actually we can see now, because I'm doing it at the same time with this wall thing, exactly why it's useful. When they are stationed like this, they are perfectly parallel to the wall, and in theory, you know, can throw their stones over it. They can even walk on this path because they have that parallel position. When I hit the rotate company button and they swap to this orientation, well, that's what you would want to use if they were against a different wall piece, a wall piece that was aligning northeast to southwest rather than the orientation we currently have. So that allows you, I think it's to line them up with walls. I really think that that's what the rotate company button's for. But here, by default, as it so happens, they were already in the right spot, so we didn't even need to hit the button, to be honest. But it's nice to demonstrate. As weak as they are, I really like this thing of the watch posts out the front, so I rotate my angle. We put them out there. A poor maintenance guy as well that has to fix them. They're all doomed. I'll give them some columns to protect them. I actually quite liked the idea that those things there would be distractions the soldiers would waste their time on while they get hit with arrows. So it's all good and ready to go, but the great tragedy is the invasion was from the south. Oh, where I have no wall. So here's just my pretty remote, you know, little fishing post. And they just break the maintenance office. I can't repair it. So now they're going to go straight for the palace. So we have to test these other defenses that we set up. I have no rabble or anything ready, but I'll summon them there. So everyone ends up... So the rabble runs in first, and now the enemies are going to come. I think we're going to have some amazing fight, but they go to my townhouse. Look at the block! No! They destroy the agora, which, as we already found out, is one of the worst things. They break the infirmary. We can't fix any of this in the meantime. The fire lights at the hunting sheds from the issue before, but I can't fix it because there's soldiers nearby. It looks chaotic and terrible, and then suddenly it just says invasion defeated. So yeah, that was a pretty brutal attack. They did destroy a lot of stuff, a lot of things I have to repair. But apparently our archers killed them. I don't know. I think there's a bug or something with the game where you just randomly are victorious on invasions. We've seen that bug, even on Olympian difficulty and in important moments. So I don't know. Like, there were a lot of forces left there. I get that some will flee and get demoralized. But what the hell demoralized these guys? They didn't even try. So anyway, now that I know attacks can come from the other side, I do give our housing block some outer walls, which has been tricky because the beautification, it's such a big block, it's not very space efficient, is it really? But I give some on the south flank since the north is pretty well protected. And then down here near the fishery, well, I move the maintenance post and try to build this wall. Same situation. We won't have the double wall effect, but maybe I can put one rabble there or whatever. As I'm building this wall, which is going to be a total failure, by the way, I realized, so when that agora broke, they actually destroyed the city. That invasion we just saw a second ago is actually the most damaging invasion that's occurred in the Let's Play. They have ruined the city here. So I have to be very careful. So basically, we lost the employment for the distribution of the food, and because they broke the granary, we had no food, right? So I beg for some food. The guy says, okay, I'll give it to you, but no one will work in the granary anymore. Look at how much we've devolved. It's just cascaded into just shit here. It actually took such a long time for employees to go back to the granary. I missed that gift of food completely and had to beg a second time. And then I think we're kind of stable, but all these houses have evolved, but no one's actually living in them yet. We need 1,000 people to come out. I love the way they're walking through the gatehouse here, though. And to cap that off, we get another invasion straight away, which I'm very happy with, because this one is using the top. So here, we put our rabble back, which we had unassigned. And here we have it. So, again, in real time, I played this very slowly so that we could see some reasonable pace here. There's some unique dialogue from this watchman in a fight, and he's a total coward.
It's not time to talk. It's time to run.
So thanks very much from that guy. He's supposed to be defending the city, and they are fighting, actually. We're actually refreshing the walkers up there, the guardsmen, so fast, they're like respawning. It is a unique way to fight. Your rabble won't respawn, but they do. Now, as for rabble throwing stones, look, none of them are throwing stones on either flank of this fight. I've got them right up against the wall. I tried my absolute best. It never happened. The archers did amazing. We crushed the invasion before they even got through the wall. They broke only one piece. So the fight went really well. I mean, the defenses were pretty much 10 out of 10 there. But I don't think that rabble throw over the wall. I think that Impressions wanted that to be a thing. No matter what stance I put them on, it didn't happen. So I don't know. Then I resolved the instability and another invasion. Because, by the way, every time people ask things from me, I'm just refusing to give it. I'm doing nothing to be good diplomatically here. I'm trying to bait them to attack me. This third invasion crushed my soul a little bit here. Because look at where these guys spawned. They spawned right into the tower. So here we actually lose. I mean, what could I do about that? They broke this was a big invasion. They spawned right next to the palace, and then they just broke the wall and came in straight away. And yes, I have some towers, and yeah, they're shooting people, but we got defeated. The defeat was actually a little bit weird there. They broke the palace, the fight kept going, and then I rebuilt the palace, and then they went back for it again. And then the defeat pop-up came. So I decided, all right, so if that's in it... I like this, by the way. You see how they all have all different invasion spots all around the town? It does make defending... You know, it's not a totally binary thing. You can't build one wall up the north and then have that be amazing, which it is, and then you're fine. You have to actually think a little bit more carefully. So I'm moving the palace further up the mountain to give me space for more walls, and I create this whole, like, fortress complex, and I do like this fortress here. So I'm going to have double walls. Remember, they all need roads, though, so I kind of have to break my avenue. Also, I've realized Athena isn't attacking. I was avoiding gatehouses this whole time, but Athena hasn't attacked me once. No gods have attacked me. So, you know, there's no fear of these breaking or whatever. A single one of these breaks, all the towers in the town go. But it's nice, isn't it? It's really cool to have, like, these airlocks. And then I figured, okay, check it out. We can have, like, these pavements, these inner courtyards, filled with path, which hopefully won't mess with that maintenance guy for the palace too badly. But what we'll do is we'll station our rabble on those. And so any invading army has to go through a gatehouse with a bunch of towers constantly hitting them. Like, look at all these towers. And then we have rabble, like we have actual spaces for battles on the inside. Like, how good is that going to look with those rabble there? Another thing I just considered is, okay, now that we lost, we are a vassal, right? And I figured, okay, can I get Mount Malea on my behalf to just free me? Can they all on their own attack this? And you can do that. You can enlist an ally to go fight something and you don't even contribute. And that might have freed us, but my fear with that was that Mount Malea only has one shield and the other guys have two, so I didn't want to piss off Mount Malea. So I decided not to pursue that in the end, but it's an interesting thought, isn't it? Okay, fourth invasion, and this time we're ready for them. So we put the rabble in our courtyards. They passed a new wall at the south of the housing block. Huge amount of fighting here. Our summoned rabble, actually, I think, defend our townspeople. They might have been going for the Agora again. I'm not entirely sure. It'd be interesting if the invasion angle depended on where they were from you in Greece, but I'm pretty sure it's just random. So look, they're coming along the road, they're getting shot. I was so happy watching this. Like, will they make it? Look at, they die, see? This is so awesome. But then this guy's on a horse, he can get a lot further, and he gets up to the first courtyard, the first room. Like, this is like a raid he's got to run, you know? This is like some epic dungeon. And he can't make it. So we defeat them, and we really didn't have to put much work in there. So there, with the fourth invasion done, the fact we can't build the triremes, the fact that there's not going to be any mythological creatures, the fact that I've been playing for over an hour, I figured, all right, I think that's probably time for the colony to end, and I started rambling away again. So I'll pass you back over to live WP. Oh, that was awesome. I'm really happy with how that went. I shouldn't say that because I've probably been geeking out about it in the super speed commentary there. But wow, and look, they didn't break anything this time either. What a lovely little colony. We got a good level as well with the wage rate and all that stuff when I send the rabbles home. Ah, very nice. Okay. So, yeah, some ups and downs, particularly the fact I can't get my triremes to patrol makes me very sad. The fact they walk around this wall makes me very sad. Oh, yeah, I never mentioned that. Did you spot that? I built this whole wall, and they just walked around it. Again, I think you got to build right around the edge or something. I don't know. Walls like this are kind of pointless. Be careful of building walls on the edges of the map. They don't work. That other one does, because we at the north, because we sandwiched it between some cliffs. But, what a nice little fortress. And this effect looks so good now, doesn't it? With all the armor in the middle. It's like we've enshrined the armor or something. Anyway, there you have it, guys. So we will now move on back to the parent city for the end of the military open play, which, of course, will have no goals. But our main goal, I want to at least set some triremes up there, you know. So you have decided to leave Orchomenos and return to Mount Malea, where you can continue to chip away at Athens' power, leaving Polynices in charge of the colony. They should always specify this. What's the name of the deputy we leave? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. As long as Orchomenos remains your colony in good standing, Polynices will give you wood every year as his tribute payment. You can also ask him for wood or purchase some from him. I think the big thing missing from these open plays is, what if I should be able to click a button to go between Orchomenos and Mount Malea anytime, you know. I should be able to do that. That would be so nice, so I can build multiple cities at the same time. I wonder if Emperor, the next game, did that, because that seems like some very obvious improvement. Anyway, there you go. Open play, no episode goals. Now that you can readily acquire wood from Orchomenos, you can build the triremes you need to become a true world power. The Athenians have grown extremely anxious and have called on their patron, Athena, to help them crush you. And Athena, the dutiful daughter, has asked her father, Zeus, to help her favourite city. Call on all your resources, your allies, vassals, and patron gods to continue to lead Mount Malea on its march towards domination. So, yeah, here's the thing. Zeus attacks us in this colony now. For the main adventures, it never, ever, ever happens. But in this mission, it does. And so when we were first at Mount Malea, we could have built some mythology and we could have defended ourselves from Athena, because, you know, there would be all these other gods that could kick her ass. No one can stop Zeus. And because, so this is a bit of a weird one, because this has no goals, I don't think Zeus ever stops attacking. I don't know if you can ever get to a state of peace in this. Also, we have a monster that's going to attack us, which I want to show. Also, I'm hoping the Minotaur is still around, who we really haven't spent very long with.
I'll trample anyone in my path.
Weird coincidence, the Minotaur was also in Athens Through the Ages. So it was a long time ago we saw it. It was like one of the first things we did in Athens Through the Ages as well. So this is going to be pretty rough. I have 2 goals, though. Well, I have 3 goals. Defeat the monsters that are going to attack. The second of which you haven't seen just yet. Get the trireme army up and invade everyone. And finally, what I want to do is I want to go... So, mythology. I want to pick, for mythology, all of the best gods for, like, zooing. Because I like zoos. I like having lots of monsters and things. So, Poseidon gives us the Kraken. So we would get Poseidon plus the Kraken, which is good. Apollo only gives us Apollo, so not so good. Artemis gives us her forces. Ares gives us his forces. Ares also gives us a dragon. So you get the dragon, the forces, and Ares, which is what was so amazing about Sparta. I'm pretty sure we're going to build Ares. Ares is cheap as well. Ares doesn't sanctify anyone, but he gives you all those other perks, which is nice. Hephaestus we can pray to for Talos. So we can only have a total of 4. So I'm thinking Ares. Hades gives you Cerberus. So we could have... So basically just don't do... So if I want pets, Artemis gives us forces, but not a pet, right? There's no, like, associated wandering thing. So maybe we... And Apollo doesn't either. So maybe we go Poseidon, Ares, Hephaestus, Hades. Those 4. And in that way, we have... So there's 2 cheap ones, 2 expensive ones. And in that way, we have everything possible roaming around. And they'll help us in these invasions. Zeus will just kill them all. So when Zeus invades us, it's going to be pretty nasty. I got a lot of cleanup to do here as well. And we might want a 3rd housing block. I don't actually know how employment looks at the moment. Unemployment's excellent. We've got loads of headroom. Oh, and of course we can evolve these guys as well. Actually, there's shitloads I want to do here. There's loads I want to do. That's like 5 goals. Well, nothing for it but to kick on in. Oh man, you're about to watch a tragedy unfold, I tell you. Okay, so I started off, since we had all this stuff about towers, I figured, hey, let's put bovine and cattle on. That cosmetic cheat which changes the arrows into cows. And you will catch it happening. It looks like the cows one-shot the wolves, which is quite amazing. I actually wonder in the code if, like, arrows can miss. When I see it miss, has it actually missed? Does it always do a bit of hit points of damage or whatever? But anyway, so having done that, one of the other projects I wanted to do moving into this was I wanted to move the palace. The palace on the mountain seemed okay, but it didn't have space to do, like, a cool labyrinth. So what I'm trying to do here is like a labyrinth of walls, roads, and I want you guys to appreciate, yeah, it might not be perfect, but how good this looks in general, because all of this stuff is going to get so messed up, it's unreal. But what I started with was so nice. Look, we got these big open fields here, well, pathways on the inside, which I'm going to stage all different rabble on. We're going to have cavalry soon, because we have horse ranches, we can import wheat, we can do all of that. And I'm going to station horses on the inside. It's going to be like goddamn Helm's Deep, guys. It's so good. All right, look at this. And there's some towers and whatnot. And, yeah, I got to be honest. I'm going to go on the record here, guys. I don't like this mission. This is brutal. By this mission, I mean this whole adventure, open play military. It is, it's horrible. Like, you keep getting invaded by gods who destroy everything fun that you try to build. There are no mechanics to bait them to one area of the city or do another. I mean, maybe there's some cheesy stuff, but there wasn't really anything on my mind that I could do here. All I could do was watch and babysit the gods. By the way, check this out. I put these towers on this hill thinking that might increase their firing range. You never know. I mean, the dev suggested you do it with rabble. That's so cool. And they're going to be throwing cows. Our city full of cows. So for the start here, it seemed I wasn't being attacked at all. And I guess I was emboldened by Arenanet a second ago when nobody attacked us. So you'll see I'm putting gatehouses and stuff down again because it looks so good. Like, look at it. It's amazing. But it's a big mistake. And yeah, you really are watching a tragedy unfold. There's a game over in here, and we're going to accomplish all of our goals, but even still, at the end, it's going to feel a little bit bad. You'll see why. I guess I'll stop speaking about the future. In total as well, you know, this took me, this is like 2 hours of building this montage here now. I think a little bit will be cut out after the game over that's coming up. Or maybe it's like 1 hour, 50 minutes, slightly shy of that. In either case, this is the longest I spent on any of these little open play things, which I guess is fitting since it's essentially the last open play mission that we have with objectives. So there you go. So now I can clear away all that crap that was half broken from before. I'm thinking about mythology there. You just saw I tried to put Ares where the palace was, but it's not possible. So, we're going to have to find a new spot for that. I also send my invasion back to Stymphalus to take them out. So, we can get them back into the fold so we can have our regular wine for our elites. That mountain I turned into carrot farm since we are a little bit shy of food. And basically what I'm realizing around about now is that we're going to need another... And we get a little bit of time to beautify it here, as you can see. This area on this mountain, if that is the mountain itself, it always remains very peaceful and very nice. I'm going to realize we don't really have the employment. I'm going to need a third housing block to do everything that I want. So, there's me throwing cows at the walls there, with another little bit of wall along there. So, there will have to be a third housing block, and all those carrot farms are excellent for feeding those people that will be emigrating in pretty soon. Changing the orientation of that rabble as well, so that they run along the wall a bit. Now, I had to figure out where to put the housing block, because suddenly this map felt really small. And I think this is another reason I'm not too hot on this this mission here, really. Because as pretty as a lot of this stuff looks, when I'm in open play, I want to build big, cool stuff. And there's not much space. Nonetheless, I remember that there was that island with the copper, so I set up a little copper industry there. We get a message from Arenanet, who are being attacked relentlessly, which we know as we were playing as them that they were getting attacked relentlessly. Well, that's still going on, so we now have to help them, send them military defense. You know, they're a little bit of a burden, but at the end of the day, they get us our woods, so... So yeah, with the housing block here, I've gone with our normal-ish design of, you know, 5 houses on the end, drawing out the most amount of road that a water walker will go. On the end, I've instantly put the podium down where we know we'll have appeal issues later. And there's not much space here for, like, beautification and for getting a wall around. And you know what kind of ended up disappointing me about this city, and right now, everything's okay, I think. But as this montage... Oh, and we had rocks on the inside, which I quite like. That adds a little bit of interest and something unique to this. But as we go along with this build session, it's just going to become chaotic. And, I mean, maybe that's natural, and that's what's cool about cities. Obviously, you guys will have your own preferences. But we've done a lot of that in a lot of the towns that we've built. So, like here, when I'm just dumping these granaries, the storehouse and stuff down. Obviously, I need that for the nearby agora. I would rather have, you know... beautified it in some interesting way. Here I give it some wall, I guess, at least. But later there'll just be like random piers getting dumped down here and there and everywhere. And largely because of the mythology. So our goal is to get all of these gods and all these patrollers and all these things. We will do it. But, I mean, think to yourself right now that we've got the housing block, where the hell are we going to put all this stuff? Two of the gods I want, Hades and Poseidon, are big gods. So where's our space for them? Well, I'll show you. And so here, all these fisheries, just for extra food, of course, on the other bank there. That was going to be a trireme area, but I'm thinking to myself we can put the triremes on the right now, which will be good. Now I want to do horse ranches. For horse ranches, we need to import wheat, so I decided to put a pier up on this north area. We need to be close to the agoras for the horse trainers. Technically, that building on the agora that distributes horses is called a horse trainer. You know, the horses are raised in the stable and they're trained at the agora, I guess. So I figure, okay, the stables can come around the north here. The boat sails in down the river, gives us the wheat, and the stable masters will take the wheat straight off of the platform. We don't even need on-site storage. They'll just grab it. And now is first of one of the minor tragedies here. I remembered we have the Heroes Hall, right, to deal with the Minotaur out in the marsh. It's Theseus! Theseus! I've wanted you for so long, and now finally Theseus is here. He wants to be near the palace with high appeal. So our amazing fortress, look at this, I have to start ripping it up now. I'm doing my best to maintain some sense of it looking good. I do think there is a world in which you have like the ultimate palace where Theseus is there, it's beautified, and it's like this amazing, beautiful fortress. But that's probably best when you're like out in an open field with as much build space as possible. I'm kind of screwed by the cliff. The cliff is good as natural defense that we don't have to pay for. And, you know, if these towers on the top do extra, then that's also brilliant. But since I didn't account for the Heroes Hall initially, it ruins the whole thing. You will notice that I have actually messed up and removed a maintenance post there and not replaced it. We have all these watch posts patrolling around on the inside. Oh, and I got the super thick wall on there as well, which I've wanted to do for ages now. That looks good too, doesn't it? But all these walls, they're just fodder for invading gods. They'll just wander around just battering everything. Putting walls in your town makes gods so much worse to deal with, which is a shame. I guess that's something of a counterbalance to the fact that, by the way, wall is incredibly cheap. Like, it's probably the cheapest thing to place, as far as I can tell. It's as cheap as Path, even though you'd think it'd be more expensive since it's so big and amazing. Okay, a lot happening right here. First of all, I've set up our trading post at Orchomenos, made it look really pretty, put it near the elite houses. That's for two reasons. One, I want to build triremes on the boats down to the bottom, and we buy wood from Orchomenos, so that will fund our triremes. But two, I also want to put some mythology over near the elites, and we'll want wood for that sanctuary at that point as well. Also, a fraction of a second ago, you saw that the new housing block wasn't evolving. I'd forgotten to give them a fountain, so I just sorted that out. And also, we have our second monster. And who is it? Check it out. It's the Cyclops. Aha! So last time we saw the Cyclops was at Ithaca, and we saw it only for a minute because it spawned, instantly got sniped by Apollo, and then we moved on from the mission. So there will be a Cyclops rampaging around here, except, I mean, look at this, guys. Everywhere in open play, because it's easy, they just put the monsters in places you'd never be. So we have a Minotaur on the marsh on the very northwest, and we have the Cyclops on a tiny island you would never use. I mean, what's the chance you'd see the Cyclops actually destroy a building down here? So the Cyclops is easily the rarest monster in the game, and in terms of like seeing it wreak havoc, because it only appears here on that tiny island, or at Ithaca, where I guess it can do more damage. We were pretty lucky with Ithaca because we went the Apollo route for that. Weirdly enough, I've still got a lot to talk about as far as Ithaca's concerned, but I suppose I'll hold my tongue on that. But okay, so that's a different hero this time. We're going to have two heroes, and the nice advantage here with open play, when they give you multiple heroes halls like this, is that you will have multiple heroes wandering around. Like, the perfect open play city to me, like my top priority for what I think would be amazing for using one of these maps, is the maximum, like, spread of gods, mythical walkers as possible. Heroes wandering around, gods walking around, gods as pets walking around. And if you can get it near the housing districts or whatever they sanctify, all the better. Obviously, heroes don't sanctify anything, so you want to find a different kind of awesome place for them to go. But yeah. Oh, okay, it was around now I had this amazing revelation. By the way, I've set up like a little storage bay for where I think we'll probably put Ares at some point nearby. I had an amazing revelation as I placed these olive presses down. And I think I'm going to put some more foundries down as well, because it feels like our bronze is a little bit low at the moment. And it's about beautifying wilderness and beautifying agricultural areas. Get this, guys. Here's what I think this game needed. A really cool idea for a mechanic. And this is us trying to place Poseidon somewhere useful. And he's going to be near this flank, I've decided. Because I had a problem with Poseidon. And that is that he needs to be near horse ranches. We can finally have him sanctify a horse ranch. So if we have him here, fisheries at the coast at the bottom, with a road out at the bottom, and then another road out at the top, he can do the horse ranches. So that's my idea. I'm desperate to see it happen. And what does that mean? That means all this wall around this elite housing area is going to go away. In fact, we had a lot of dead space here anyway. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot I'm ripping up here. Okay, back to my theory, right? Here's what the game should have had. A simple mechanic that says this. The higher a path evolves, the faster walkers go on it. That's it. Simply that. Now, what that would, and it doesn't have to be major, but what that means is you're now incentivized to put a little bit of appeal out around, you know, carding sheds, and to put out near the orchards, and to put out, and if you don't have many buildings, you don't need much beautification to offset it. By the way, using fish ponds to bait Poseidon to go to the north, because I love the theme of that before. Basically, what I'm saying is when you get those really, really beaten down industrial rubbled roads, maybe at that point your walkers move slow. So in the interest of an efficient city, dotting a few columns around here and there to stop that, there you go, it now has purpose. And to that end as well, where are your paths most evolved? Well, they're most evolved around housing blocks where you have the most number of walkers. You've got culture walkers, agora walkers, everything, right? And so then it's of a benefit there. Just with that one tiny little mechanic, it's like the whole thing would blend together into this really seamless, nice experience. It's a really good idea, I think. Maybe this is just my arrogance, but maybe it's so good that clearly they tried that and decided it doesn't work. You know, it feels like that's what the idea of the game was almost, or something, you know? Like, if you think about it, why do paths evolve in the first place? That is a purely cosmetic element of the game, and it's nice and it's appreciated. But, you know, the things cost money to develop. Art takes time to create. Maybe it's because once upon a time there was a deeper design about that. You know, for all I know, by the way, the previous games in this series had that as a mechanic. I've heard they're more complicated. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. But hey, anyway, so there you go. So Poseidon plus a wall out the front, plus some towers. And now we have triremes. I couldn't quite get all of the triremes together, but they're pretty central. The only thing we want to avoid is what we did at Olympus, which is where there are triremes in every corner of the damn place. I believe the cap on triremes is actually quite high on this mission, by the way. I think the UI seems to suggest I can get as many as 8 of them. But coast space is now becoming a real problem. I've used a lot of coast space for, like, fishing and just weird stuff that is now a little bit tricky. So I don't know, maybe conquering someone else and getting a bit more food would be a good idea. Anyway, here we go. So let's get Odysseus, king of Ithaca. I want him to have an actual bay, a nice place for his heroes' hall. Keeping some semblance of cosmetic city building going on here. Surrounded by park. You know what I think would have been really good with this game as well? Just one other alternative to park. You know, just one other alternative. I don't even know exactly how it would look. Maybe instead of, like, very green, it would be very, you know, like orange, you know, in terms of the plant life that's in there or something. It can be functionally exactly the same, but that would just vary up the visuals just that little bit more. So there you go. Plus a storehouse for them all. Getting wood and getting armor, which will take a while to get across the map. I actually am pretty worried at this point about our bronze production. We're going to need to produce a lot of bronze for sculpture, and I think here I'm looking to see if anyone even sells the stuff. But I can't really find very much, so I have to fix that up. The other thing, now here's the most military thing I'm doing. I think this is fitting, because this is military open play. I now start warmongering like mad. Okay, so here's Odysseus. He's going to go fight the Cyclops. I start warmongering like mad. Because there is a town out there, Lorien, and they are our rival. They produce marble. So instead of conquering them outright and getting undoubtedly tributes of marble, what I'm going to do about 100 times, so the rest of this footage is me going to be spamming this over and over and over, is I'm going to keep sending out raiding parties for the marble. Because right here, they are giving me, whenever I plunder it, I plunder like 4, so there you see I'm doing it again. You get like 42 marble per. It's like a storage bay and a bit full of marble every time we plunder. And I think that since I can plunder multiple times a year, and in fact, if you don't do all your forces at once, you can actually double plunder. You can do all the triremes in one attack. And don't forget, they bring more stuff back when they have triremes with them. And then you do all your hoplites in another attack. If you do, or maybe even mix and match so that you get the trireme bonus each time. If you do that... actually, that's weird. I just played this mission, and it was always the same amount of marble coming in every time. So I don't know about that trireme bonus. Maybe that's another example of something Impressions talked about in one of their guides that isn't actually really a mechanic. I don't know. But if you do that, you can get just crazy amounts of marble, way more than... And you don't even have to buy it. And, hey, it's open play military, so... Yeah, that's what I do. There seems to be no cap. You know, like when you get too many gifts or you request too many gifts, they run out of a resource, as we've seen on the UI. These guys never run out of marble. So I'm going to plunder my way to all of the sanctuaries, which sounds really good. Even as I'm talking about it here with you guys right now, I feel like it sounds amazing. But it's really, really tedious. Remember in the last video at Larissa, the open play economic? And all the places just got built accidentally. Yeah, this is nothing like this. This is brutal. And I'm going to be getting invaded by gods constantly, just like pulling teeth, frustrating. Knowing that I'm constructing these gods that could defend me, but they're just not coming in time. Now, I was trying to avoid this, but to rewind the footage here, because I've rambled for too long, we are being attacked. So this is so now that we've started warmongering, I guess we're considered fair game. The first assault, they land on the beach, and then the attack instantly ends. Huh, what? So yeah, there's definitely a bug here. I don't know what's causing it, but they just ran away straight away, and we didn't get to enjoy this. Look, I put the horsemen inside. Like I say, the Helm's Deep effect. This is so cool. We got to see these horses fight within the fortress at some point. Thankfully, not every single... I say thankfully, it's actually kind of horrendous. Not every single invasion will bug. Actually, 2 of them, though, which I really wanted to fight, because I want to see the combat here. I have to bribe away because of the thing I mentioned earlier in this video about Athena. Athena invades at the exact same time and goes to my palace right as an invasion happens. So if I accept to defend the city... then we're fucked. We just instantly lose because Athena's taken the palace out and it will count as a defeat. I don't know whether the game is explicitly trying to line those up or it's just like generating it and we got unlucky. But yeah, 2 invasions I did end up bribing off, which is not... obviously throughout all of this, I mean, look at this. Look at the money we've got. So that's not a problem. Here I went with Sculpture Studios and I loved the idea of a square and you have 2 on each line of the square. But then I realized we don't have space for a path out. So I think what you'd have to do is 3. If you go 3 by 3 by 3 by 3, you can kill the one in the middle of one of the rows and put a path out and it'll look good. That'll be something to try at a later point, I suppose. So yeah, anyway, we got these marble bays and all this. I'm looking for Ares' fortress and I'm thinking, can it go there? And I'm very close to placing it on that shoreline. But you know what was most important than anything else? That it's near the palace. Because we want Ares... You remember at Sparta, he could have helped a lot, and he didn't really. Like, he would roam around, but he wouldn't help much. If they're all going to go to this palace, and they're going to fight these gatehouses and things, I want Ares to be at the palace too. I want his hoplites to be easily... You know, we can muster them wherever, to be honest, so that doesn't matter too much. But there's the matter of his dragon as well. I want the dragon walking around this, like, fortress we've built, with watchtowers in there. And now imagine from the perspective of an invader. You have horsemen to fight, you've got towers shooting down from above you, not to mention the fact that a dragon or Cerberus, because we'll be building Hades, so here I'm looking for Hades as well. And I'm realizing there's actually loads of space out on this map that I'm not even touching near the marsh. A lot of it's buildable land. Like, in fact, I'm basically only using half of the playable space. The leftmost stuff is very open. But here, so I like that effect as well before at Olympus, where we had a bunch of the temples near each other. So I'm going to flank the entrance to the palace with all of these guys, because then, you know, if we want the dragon to roam around there, surely we want Cerberus to roam around there. Surely we want everyone to roam around there. 4 different gods, for example. Poseidon's the exception because he's a mile away. He's on the other side of the town. Now, I'm going to slow the footage back down to real time here because guess what, guys? We've actually got game over. We're in game over right now. Now, how? This is exactly what happened, right? Real time. I'm looking at the elite houses, and I'm noticing that one of them, that guy over there on the left, hasn't evolved. And I look at the culture that he wants, and I see that no one's working the theatre. So I think, okay, well, I'll build them a drama school. That's fine. Give them a maintenance post as well, because I realised I hadn't actually given maintenance to all these horse ranches before. Look over to the left, and look, we have 2 colleges over there. Neither of them have anyone working in them. Here's another invasion on its way, by the way. That is not the reason that this is game over, for what it's worth. Like, the podium isn't working, and then these colleges, I already have 2 of them next to each other. This is kind of the chaos I'm talking about. Neither of them have any employees. Well, why don't they have any employees? What? Hello? Excuse me? 2,000 workers needed? I look over at my housing district, and oh dear. Okay, so what I didn't tell you guys is a minute ago, while I was placing the temples, Demeter attacked. And she came in with this voice cue like, oh, I'll make everybody hungry. They'll be so hungry. They'll be sad. And I thought, whatever, Demeter, that's not a big deal. And I ignored her. I chose to ignore her, which is so stupid of me because Demeter, as we already know, this happened at Pergamum, she tunnel visions Agoras. So, you know, and I've been playing very fast through this. God knows how many months ago, she destroyed... Look at what she's done! She sniped granaries, she's destroyed all these walls, she's destroyed this agora. The game has absolutely no warning messages or, like, hey, by the way, you're in trouble kind of system that I saw anyway. Maybe there were little pop-ups at the top saying people don't eat enough. Anyway, no one's had anything, so everyone has moved out without me even noticing. Look, some of the last few thrown out of my home guys are on their way out now, but the mass exodus happened. I've never seen such a crazy employment requirement of 2,000 people. So this is bad. Now, I tried to salvage it because, to be honest, I think you can come back. All you have to do is shut down all the different industries, which is what I've done. Prioritize storage and distribution, because all the goods are here. And with these couple of peasants that live here, you have all of them work in granaries, all of them work in agoras. And we are kind of lucky here because over in this housing block, some houses are still okay, though they also have been collapsing. So I think, all right, maybe we can restabilize. But just to speed it along again here for you, we can't. Fires start breaking out, plague starts breaking out. It's Corinth all over again. It's over. And to be honest, guys, I actually quit the game for about 20 minutes after this because I couldn't remember when I'd last saved. Turned out I had saved right before that invasion of the beach, so it's not too long ago, and this is all totally playable. But yeah, total failure here, because don't forget an invasion is happening right now as well with this plague. We're screwed. So yeah, damn you, Demeter. She back attacked us and ruined the whole town. Well, I suppose technically I could have just bribed them away, so it wasn't really over, but, you know, let's just reload instead of rebuilding all that stuff. So this time I'm actually watching her. We get some fun new dialogue, if you guys want to have a little bit of a listen. Because here, Odysseus is actually going to try to fight her. And he'll fail, but you know.
Here, sheepy, sheepy, sheepy.
Did we hear that one before?
I'll mine copper later. It's time to bolt.
I think I remember that one.
Yikes! Let's see how fast this cart will go.
I'm not moving.
Fertile farmland will no longer be fertile, and all that is growing upon it will die.
Until you hire someone to help me move these goods. Yeah, okay, so there you go. Her voice is like the Kraken thing. It goes really deep and crazy and twisted at the end, and I really do quite enjoy that. So there you go. Anyway, so Demeter's attack, and this is just horrible. It's really frustrating to have to watch it. Now, that's okay. She leaves. Later, we get some Athena attacks. There's still the big man himself as well, just going to say. And Demeter's going to be a bit relentless too, so I just have to start watching the gods now. Watching if they break my gatehouses, watching if they break my watch posts, watching if they curse my olives, watching if they, you know, just anything that they can do. So here we go. Anyway, we place these storage bays along the back, and then these just accept all of the, you know, the wood and the marble and so on. I have multiple bays for marble. Since each plunder is more than a single bay, you know, I need that extra thing. And it's funny as well, I think there's a bit of a bug going on where if I send out 2 raiding parties in the same paused frame, by the way, that pier there is amazing. Look at how much sculpture they sell in one tick. Like every year they just sell obscene amounts of sculpture. Yeah, so if I send out double raiding parties like this in the same paused moment, you get both deposits of marble in the same frame, and the game doesn't know how to calculate your storage for that. So you end up having to throw some away or postpone the other bit of the batch, and it's just, I don't know, it's just fiddly. Next invasion's coming now, but I think this one bugs again. And it's not just that the beach bugs. There you go, invasion force defeated. See, it's not that the beach bugs, it's because there will be some beach attacks that don't bug. Also, that beach is actually the only place I've seen anyone invade, unlike at Orchomenos, where there are all these different points. Like in our patrolling triremes aren't ever really going over there. Man, I should have manually assigned them to do that. That would have been awesome. Didn't think to. Also, Athens is trying to attack us now, but right as Athens attacked, here's Athena. Oh, and look at everything she breaks. So I had to bribe away the invasion. This was the moment where I would have instantly lost. And I'm thinking, okay, she'll break some stuff and then leave. Odysseus trying to fight her is quite cool. Fire over there. Thankfully, it's not too close. Odysseus has to run away. They didn't actually really put death animations into this game, so people just walk off, you know. I guess the monsters have death animations, but the heroes not so much. So yeah, Athena, I'm like, can you go away now, please? You've just attacked the palace, attacked the area again. Now she's coming over here. Why? Because she wants our olive industry, so she's going to set all the trees off. There you go. Ruin our entire crop here. Oh, and the entire time, we are technically a vassal still, and I have to manually give, like, these tiny ticky-tacky amounts of, like, 500 drachma, and if I forget, they get annoyed with me, which is just, like, annoying UI clutter. But look at that, then she patrolled back, went back to the palace, up and down again, and then finally left. Look, this is all super sped, so it doesn't look like much, but it was really annoying how long she stayed there. Well, here's Poseidon finished, and guess what? I could actually pray to him this time. I guess my food stores were low enough. So I'm really happy to be able to give you guys this piece of content that we weren't able to at the previous city. All this was way too rammed with food for it to show up.
I've noticed that you're running low on food.
Fascinating, right? And actually, if you look in the elite neighborhood, there were a bunch of guys with sacks running in a long row there. This, of course, now gets me thinking about the sanctification of the horse ranches. So, he keeps going into the elite neighborhood. So this whole satellite road now, I'm like, just get rid of the satellite road. We don't need that. There's still a fear that he'll show up at the gym. Then he's just not showing up for ages. Not sure what's going on there. At least the horse ranches are already full, so as soon as the sanctification happens, we'll see it. And then he decides, oh no, I'm going to do the fisheries first. So we don't need any of those storage bays, which we're just used to construct it. Delete the avenue at the bottom. Now he's at the top. We had to move a bit of path, but there you go. So there's a sanctified horse ranch for you guys. The weird thing is, I don't see any more horses in there. Right-clicking it didn't give me any suggestion that there were more in there. And the sanctification runs out really fast. Faster than I see a new horse pop up or them deliver more hay to it or wheat to it or whatever. So, is this a weird one where it doesn't actually work or do anything? Well, the experiments have to stop because guess who's back? Demeter. Instantly taking a granary out full of food that we just prayed to Poseidon for. Thanks for that. Instantly breaks another agora, but we fix it. I thought she'd go for that wine. Don't worry, someone else will go for the wine in a minute. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Poseidon can beat her, right? Surely Poseidon will help? I tried to build a wall around her to see if he'll teleport over, but it doesn't work. I think it has to be at the moment Poseidon decides to pathfind. He's on the other side of the city, so he can't really help. I think maybe he's walking over here? The heroes certainly tried to get their licks in, but Poseidon did nothing, so thanks for that, mate. Also, did you notice, in the very brief moment that she first spawned before I moused over, she actually hit a whole other agora in the other housing block too. I had to sneakily notice that and fix that. Like, she started doing damage instantly. Yeah, and then she cursed, like, some carrots as well. Here's our main sanctuary, and, you know, it's all good. It's just shit tons of plundering. And just as I think, okay, we're about to get this done, awesome, these gods aren't like Poseidon. They're right near the important area. Just as we get on top of things, another god attacks straight away. And who is it? It's Zeus. So Zeus nails the palace straight away, as I mentioned to you guys before, if you managed to bait him in the Zeus versus Europa campaign before. He decided he didn't like the wine, he broke that. He didn't like a carrot farm. And then I lost sight of him, and he appears to have left instantly. I would have loved to have seen, like, Odysseus trying to fight Zeus. I'm sure that wouldn't have gone well. Oh, and he also cursed all of our towers, it seems. I bet he just curses things he can, and if he hits a single tower, then that's it, he'll get them all. Also, by the way, when you right-click a tower, it talks about how the soldiers are all too cowardly to fight because they're cursed, which is kind of a fun little touch. And with all of that, guys, with all that chaos, with all that breaking, look at our fortress now. It's just destroyed. Oh yeah, also, Zeus apparently stopped trade. I didn't notice this at the moment, but he does the Hermes thing. And it has its own dialogue as well. It says, Zeus's rage has abated somewhat, and the desire for profit has overcome fear of angering the most powerful god in the pantheon. Trade caravans and ships have returned to your city once again to ply their wares. So thankfully money was okay. We're up to 60k drachma. If we were struggling a bit more, yeah, Zeus is pretty brutal. But with Zeus survived, the sanctuaries are done. I can send my forces out to Athens and ram him with multiple heroes, both Artemis and Ares soldiers, the archers and the hoplites. Just a huge invasion. 7 triremes, a bunch of horsemen. Athens would never have stood a chance. So we conquer Athens. And this technically is the end of the adventure here, really. There was a moment as well about 5 minutes ago where I got a pop-up saying military decline at Athens, which made me pretty confident we'd get this. And well, there you go. So we nail it. So victory at last, but at what cost? And now I'll hand you over to a very tired, very frustrated WP who's been playing for hours and hours and hours to round out the mission, because there's still one more thing I want to see. I want to see us survive an attack, right? Well, do bear in mind, I said this city was kind of tragic. Oh my god. That was rough. That was really rough. But there you have it. Beautiful. Look at this. The dragon, Artemis, Cerberus. We have all of these banners here. They're all patrolling right around the palace. And, you know, they'll all defend us. I think the last thing I want to do here... Alright, I need the satisfaction of this. Go on, move on over. And then you as well. And then we'll grab everyone and we'll summon them all. Nice. I think the oh god, I've just messed this up though. I think the last thing I want to do is I want to see someone try to get to this palace. Ugh, but the gods are going to keep attacking. And look at how they've just ruined it all. My beautiful fortress. Alright. Fight to defend. Wait. Fight to defend. Hold on, let me build the tower, the gatehouse here at least first. Alright, here we go. So we now have, and hopefully that works on the other side. Yeah, it does. Okay, so let's see. Where do they invade from? Oh my god! Oh, and our triremes are going for it as well. The Kraken is trying to launch it. Oh, this is cool. In fact, these boats look different. Look at this. I've never seen boats that look like that. Actually, rewatching this, why are there 2 different types of boats? Are we in the midst of 2 invasions at once? You know, the style of this boat feels, you know, very North African. Is this Libya, Phoenicia? Is this Egypt or something invading us? I don't think so, but they are there on the campaign. You know what I always think of when I look at boats like this? I think about the login screen for Guild Wars 1 Nightfall. Yep, because it had one of those big boats on there. Well, the Kraken got one. He's going to get some others as they try to leave. Well, this is a big invasion here, isn't it? All right, the Kraken's off for those. So good job. Kraken has done his job. They're actually invading here as well. Okay, we get even more marble. We don't need that marble anymore. This is quite an invasion force. Oh my god, we're going to have a real fight here. This is cool. Okay. Go on, go up to the palace, everybody. Good. I'm glad that we get to see all of our forces together, because those temples were so hard to make. So hard. I'm guessing again... Oh my god, the Hound is going for it straight away. Get in there, Cerberus. See, can Cerberus just solo them all? I don't know. All right, some are breaking ranks. Oh, wow. I want to watch Cerberus eat them, but we got to keep an eye on anyone. Oh, some of them are turning around. This guy's gone ahead. Oh, did they manage to get rid of Cerberus? No. They're just ignoring him for now. Okay, can I please be sure that we do have our stuff here? Look, so we can put whatever wall remains. Just get some towers. Your city needs workers. I know. We're manning the towers. Okay, wait. Where's the invasion? Here? Well, they're trying to get around the top, are they? That makes sense. They're going to try to get through the gatehouse that I just built. Actually, we didn't finish building it, did we? Oh, 2 close enemy troops. Oh my god, some of them are here already. Oh, here's the battle. Whoa. Oh my god, they're just sprinting through. No. Shoot him down. I cannot believe it. What is that? Is that game over now? Because I was already a vassal, right? Isn't that game over? Oh no, it's just you lost and must pay tribute. I can't believe there was one tiny gap and he just sprinted through. Where are my gods? What are you lot doing? Oh, and we had rabble stationed on the top and everything. Yeah, take these guys out just for my anger's sake. Oh my lord. This thing though with the temples near the palace, because they already seem to want to go near the palace anyway. So then you put their things there as well. Oh, it's pretty nice. Oh, I'm so angry with that. I'm so angry. This is kind of a brutal mission, to be honest. Ugh, so much stuff just kind of ruined the aesthetic here. Well, there you go. That's military open play to complete. Athens is ours, whether they like it or not. What does this mean now, by the way? Does this mean that technically whoever just sprinted at the palace owns Athens? Who knows? So, Mount Malea thrives. Really? Is it thriving? Mount Malea thrives. Good stuff. So we have now seen all of the open plays except this last one, which is Open Play Sandbox, which is just, well, I'll talk about. So we're going to do one more bonus video. There's a trilogy of bonus videos here, but the next one is a little different. It's something special because Open Play Sandbox is just a map that has every resource on it. There are no colonies or anything like that. It's just what it is. So you might think, well, is that enough for a whole bonus video, especially if we speed up or whatever? Believe it or not, I do have a very fun plan for that place. And in addition to that, there's another side of the launch game that you guys haven't seen yet, which is, you know, I've been doing my vineyards a bit different, and I've been talking about something inspired me with that. And yeah, I hope to see you guys for that. So thanks very, very much for watching Open Play Military, and I'll see you. It's a tragic end, but it's quite fun and quite fitting in the end, I think, actually, there. And I will see you next time. Well, guys, we are getting very near the end here. We have seen a hell of a lot of the bonus material. Now, as many of these sections have gone along, you've seen bits of concept art, and I've been scouring like the official website, various old pictures that maybe they had hosted there. Well, here's some more for you. That was old 3DS Max you just saw a second ago. Some of the tools and some of the work in progress stuff that they released about the game as it was coming out. The actual models and textures and things before they all got shrunk down to fit onto this tiny, you know, file size for the actual game's release. I'm always so curious about stuff like this, like if they're still buried, the originals are buried in an archive somewhere that someone could grab, and then when they re-release the game, they could, you know, look really good but still be faithful to the original stuff. They have all manner of things here, and it really reminds me, what I view as quite a simple game nowadays, even still has so much work that goes into producing the art. And, you know, everything about the actual face of the game. They got a really cool image here about translating the Pharaoh UI, which when I watch gameplay videos of Pharaoh, I'm always so confused by that UI. How they translated it into the Zeus UI, which makes way more sense and is much more intuitive to me. Here, like, this is images for the opening title video, which I tend to think of, you know, as just being this outsourced thing that maybe they paid someone else to make, but no, they did it themselves. It's the only main cutscene in the entire game, and it appears on boot, and that's it. But look at all the work they had to put into it. Here again, like these nice zoomed in on the images of the sculpture studios. There's the Pharaoh UI, looks very weird, doesn't it? And how they turned it into the Zeus stuff. Very different color scheme as well. We go from the reds and oranges in Pharaoh to lots of blues here. Image of Aphrodite, and there you can kind of see Athena there, by the way, looking a little bit different. With different coloured armour. And Aphrodite looked a little bit between her concept art and her final version there as well. And yeah, just some nice images. These remind me a little bit of loading screens from Morrowind as well, some of them, you know, where they'd have like various concept arts of the creatures around Vardenfell. And well, there we have it.